You really want to have different types of clothing that you can layer up in order to protect you from any sort of environment that you're going to be in order to stay warm and dry. But you don't want to be too warm or you start sweating. So the beauty of layers is it protects you from wind, it protects you from rain, and also it allows you to regulate your own body temperature so that you don't sweat too much, or you can warm up if you start getting chilly. So let's dive into the high-level basics of the different options of layers and what you should be looking at whenever you're buying your first set. So let's start out with your base layer. This is typically what you're wearing next to the skin. A lot of times I'm either wearing a t-shirt, a polyester t-shirt, or this long sleeve sun hoodie. This is actually my preference. And the reason why I bring this is, one, it provides protection to the skin for the sun. So sun protection as well as a hood. So whenever it's real windy or real sunny, I can put this right on top and I can protect my neck from the sun so it doesn't get really sunburnt. And it just keeps me warm. So I'll wear this in cold environments. If it's warm already, then I'll wear a t-shirt. So avoid cotton, because cotton, it fills up with moisture. The individual threads do. All that moisture is right by your body. It doesn't dry out. It'll actually make you colder as well. What gives polyester such a great advantage is it wicks away moisture through the pathways of the thread. The threads do not absorb the moisture. Instead, it travels to the surface of the material and away from the skin. And that is also bad for bacteria. So the bacteria goes in those little pathways and it captures in those pathways between the threads. And that's why polyester ends up stinking so bad after a short amount of time. But this is what I typically wear right next to the skin, is sun hoodie or a t-shirt. Next, when it's really cold outside, consider a thermal layer. This can go right next to your skin. I do that a lot of times whenever I'm sleeping at night, but also you can put it on top of this base layer if you decide to, which then it acts as a mid layer. There are two popular options out there. One is a polyester fleece. And so what this is, you have polyester synthetic fibers, and the thread is actually brushed in order to give it a little bit of loft. And then the warm air is captured within that loft in order to keep you warmer. This is a pretty thick one. My body typically runs a little bit chillier, so I like thicker base layers. Fleece does a great job at wicking away moisture as well. It also keeps you warm. It's lightweight. It compacts really well. So there's a lot of advantages to fleece. It's cheap. A lot of times when you're just starting out, I say just go to your local sports store, get a fleece as a base layer, and that's good. But as you're going a little bit more and you want better and better gear, you can get a merino wool base layer. And so this is mine from Duck Camp. It is actually pretty thick. It's 230 GSM, which is grams per square meter. And so typically a lightweight merino wool is about 150 GSM. And then you go to midweight, about 200, and then anything above 200 to all the way up to 400 or more is called heavyweight. And so this is a mid-weight base layer. So why is it called merino wool? So actually there are sheep that are in Spain that are called merino sheep, and they make this wool and it's extremely soft, as opposed to like some of my old wool that I used in the past is just so itchy. This is incredibly soft. You can have it thin and still have a lot of warmth. It does a pretty good job retaining its warmth whenever it's wet as well. But merino wool is expensive. You can find some for about $80, but they go all the way up into, hundreds of dollars for a good quality pair of merino wool. But I recommend merino wool if you want something a little bit higher quality. All right, so next up is your true mid layer. The two most popular, just like your base layers, is your merino wool and your fleece. So bring a mid layer with you so that you can put it on top of your base layer just to add a little bit more thickness and to capture that warm air in between those layers so that you stay nice and warm. The next up is going to be your puffy jacket. This is going to be when it's really cold outside. You have to stay warm, especially whenever you stop moving. Put your puffy jacket on, stay warm. Keep that core warm. If you start sweating as you start moving up the mountain, unzip it. Take it off. Make sure you don't start sweating. There's different types of puffies. There's the least expensive ones that are typically synthetic, and then you have down as well. Down has a lot of benefits. It is extremely warm. It is very compactable, very lightweight, but it does not do well in wet environments. As soon as it gets wet, it loses pretty much all of its warmth capabilities. So whenever you're going in a wet environment, it's best to get a synthetic puffy. Next, you have a hard shell. So this is my rain jacket. I take this on the majority of trips with me. It is so important to have this with you. And the reason why is because storms, especially in the mountains, can come out of nowhere. And so you need to stay dry. The other great thing about it is in super windy environments, put your rain jacket on and it just helps block that wind. This is one of the least expensive jackets that you can get because it's a 2.5 layer. So, which basically means that you have this external fabric, which is a nylon ripstop, and on the back side of it, they put a coating. And then on top of that coating, they put this pattern coating as well. It's very lightweight, it's compactable as well. The downsides to a 2.5 layer jacket is it's not very breathable. And so that's why on a lot of these jackets, you have what's called pit zips. So they go right here all the way up to your pit. And so you can unzip it to allow a lot of the heat to get out. So if you can imagine, you're going on a hike, it is raining, it's humid outside, and you're sweating as well. There's also more expensive ones that are 3 layers. So a 3-layer rain jacket, what that is you have the external layer, you have an internal liner, and then you have a membrane in between. And that membrane helps release the warm air from your body. And also the 3-layer structure prevents water from getting in. Always bring a hard shell with you. Whenever it's raining outside, whenever it's windy outside, it becomes so important. And also it's just another great layer if you get a little bit cold. You can put it over the top. If you haven't already, please hit the like and subscribe button below. It really helps me out. My motivation is just to help people as they're starting out in day hiking, to talk about gear and the basics.